with how the COVID situation was last year and how we were seeing everybody who was being impacted by it and having to stay indoors, and just the general malaise of you're not able to go out and do the things you're used to doing, and you're not being able to go out and see people you're used to seeing, and just how everything screeched to a grounding halt. As a counselor, for you, what was the sort of thing that you were encountering, and what would you say was the biggest impact that COVID had on the patients that you were coming in who were coming in to see you?
Yeah. I'd say the 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 virus and the shutdown, it affected people differently depending on their personality. Um, a lot of folks, uh, with the disruption of their routines and disconnection from work and friends and family, it really hit them hard. So the isolation was really rough for some folks. Uh, on the other hand, some folks, it's surprising at first, they're like, I'm actually doing better emotionally, um, uh, being stuck at home, because working from home, uh, I don't have to deal with office politics. I don't have to deal with a stressful commute. And folks that were a little more are a little more introverted. They're like, this is pretty sweet. Um, so at first, after a while, even introverts, the shutdown eventually got to them, um, because it was so disruptive to our normal way of living, right? Our normal routines and rhythms.
Right. So, I mean, I would assume even under the most normal circumstances, people tend to find themselves in a rut in relationships, and they need to figure out what's wrong and isolate problems. And I know that, I remember when I was still in a relationship, the big thing that had been stressed to me when I was a kid was, even from my grandparents, was just you need to be able to communicate with your partner about
Yeah,
what's going on and figure out how to get to a solution that helps both of you out. For you as a counselor, I mean, how critical is it in trying to make sure that both sides in that dynamic understand that you need to be able to talk to each other and you need to be able to talk openly about what's going on? Otherwise, whatever problems you're facing, they're not going to get fixed.
right. And like our usual ways of coping with stress in relationship, like got taken away, right? So like a lot of couples, uh, can get to the point where like communication doesn't feel good and it's kind of hard. So like I can go off to work for 40 hours a week, um, you know, be out of the house for 50 if you include a commute or going to the gym. And the pandemic has forced people to live 24/7 in close quarters. And like those deficiencies in healthy communication, like it all came out. So lots of relationships struggle, not just like partnerships, but families too. And yeah, it's tough. Whether it's working from home, or I manage stress by uh, going to the gym or going out with my friends. When that's taken away, it's like, man, I'm feeling kind of stuck and trapped with you. Um, and the things that worked before for harmony and homeostasis, it's like, wait, we have never been through a global pandemic before. So we're having to figure out like individually what I need, but then also what do we need as a couple? And so that can get kind of tricky.
Right. I mean, because one of the things that I would hear a lot in when I was younger and I worked for an attorney in Portland, and he handled pretty much everything except uh, domestic divorces and stuff like that. At one point, he did, but being around that environment and being around people who had to help mediate and mitigate those sorts of issues when the relationships ultimately break down, a lot of what you hear is what gets and to be fair, a relatively harsh stigma is codependent relationships.
Mm.
And to your point, like what you said, part of having a healthy relationship, as we all kind of understand it, is you get your space. You're able to go to work, you're able to go to the gym. You have a life outside of this central relationship, whether it be a marriage or a long-term relationship or even a new relationship. And the pandemic seems like that took it away and almost required people for a certain amount of time to be codependent and in that kind of codependent mold. Did you see any evidence of that in the last year?
Yeah, well, one of the things to like kind of sort out is like what's your responsibility uh, for uh, coping with the stress and dealing with anxiety, with dealing with depression, dealing with your responsibilities. Um, but in relationship, when we care about someone, like we want to support and help someone. Um, what was hard is usually you take turns, right? Like if someone's having a bad day, they're struggling, they had a hard time at work, then your partner will like be there for you and support you and listen, and encourage you, and then you take turns, like, and then you have a bad day and then they do that for you. But what happened was just the chronic stress of all the turmoil, not just the pandemic, but all the racial unrest, all the political upheaval. Um, were just under constant stress this last year. So like everybody's having a bad day, and it's a tough spot when you're both struggling
Right.
emotionally. And you're like, I don't have anything to give. Like I am not healthy. I'm not doing great. You're not doing great. And we have all these emotional needs that are being unmet. And it's like, uh, we can't help each other. We can't be there for each other. Um, and the more you struggle, the more you start to buy into that and believe that. Um, and so it's kind of like a downward spiral, right?
Right.
With mood. Um, and so it's, and then getting support for friends and family, right? You go out on the weekend, you go for a hike, you talk to your friend, you hopefully grab a mentor who's been through it and they can encourage you and like say like this is normal, you guys are going to get through it. Like, but we're so isolated.
Hey guys, Devin here. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and check out the links below for more great original content. Talk to you soon. Bye.